What's going on? This is Full Throttle Freedom, and I was very excited to see that I had one of my packages arrive, and this is actually one of the final things that I need to do for the motorcycle maintenance this winter. So as you can see, this is a set of tires. We decided to go with the Dunlop Sportmax GPR300 tires, and so this is for the little Honda CB300F. So obviously not a W-rated tire, not going to go 270 plus kilometers an hour, but this is going to be more than enough for the job, and this is one of Dunlop's more affordable tires. I believe in Canadian dollars for the set it was just under $300, so not too bad in terms of motorcycle tires. And so this is the rear here, and this is the front, and I'm looking forward to mounting these and having my wife's bike all ready to go, minus an oil change for the summer. Okay, now you might be asking yourself, why did I decide to put brand new tires on a 6-year-old motorcycle with just over 5,000 kilometers on it? Well, the reason is actually a few. So the first reason is very simple. So it's a 6-year-old motorcycle, which means that the tires are also going to be 6 years old. And so right here you can see the date code on the motorcycle. So this 12-15 means that these tires were born on the 12th week of 2015. So a good rule of thumb is to replace your tires every 5 years. And this has actually been somewhat debunked. And so tires can last more than 5 years, but they need to be stored properly and obviously still have to have a good amount of tread left, which these do. But that brings me to my second reason. So if you look right here, my wife's bike actually has a nail that punctured the tire. And so again, you might ask yourself, well, couldn't you just patch that? And the answer to that is yes. But the problem with patches is I don't 100% trust them. So, you know, on a car, if the patch were to burst and then the tire blows out, you just have a flat, and it's a pretty simple change. On a motorcycle, a tire that blows out, then it could mean a crash and possibly ruining your motorcycle, injuring yourself. So I just like to go ahead and play it safe and just replace the tires. For me, I mean, especially since I'm trusting my wife's life to these tires, I want to make sure that they are done properly. Okay, and in case it wasn't clear, the purpose of this video is to show you how to remove and install both tires on a Honda CB300F. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the supplies. So as you can see, I have a few things laid out in front of me. So I have the 3 sockets over here, 6 sockets actually, but 3 deep sockets, 3 regular sockets. So I have a 19 mil, a 17 mil, and a 24 mil deep socket. I have a 12 mil, 14 mil, and 19 mil regular socket, extension, and then 1/2 inch breaker bar, 3/8 inch ratchet, and then 3/8 inch torque wrench. So that's all you need. It's basically just loosening and tightening bolts, and that's it. Okay, first step is going to be removing the brake calipers. So I'm going to start with the rear, and so what you'll see is on this bike there are 2 bolts. There's one here and one here. You just need to remove these, and then this caliper should come free. So the one sucky part about this is that it's going to be very hard to fit anything into here with this exhaust in the way. So I'm actually, now that I see this, I'm going to grab a 14 mil combination wrench. Okay, so we'll start with the tricky one here. Oh, perfect. Okay, for a second there, I thought I was gonna have to take off the exhaust and I would have been pretty upset. Okay, so now we're just gonna take the caliper, we're gonna rest it right here, and then we're gonna add a zip tie to secure it. Okay, and now for the front, we have our two caliper mounting bolts right here. So we're going to loosen those off. Okay, and as we carefully pull this one off, we are going to set this caliper down onto this bucket here. That way, this is a heavier caliper, so I don't want to put any stress on to the brake hose. Okay, next step is going to be loosening off this axle nut here. So I'm going to take my breaker bar and my 24 mil socket, deep socket, and I'm just going to crack the bolt here. Okay, and now it's loose enough that I can loosen it off by hand. I'm going to remove the axle nut completely. Okay, and now we're going to take a dead blow hammer and we're going to start hitting the axle. And here we should remove this spacer here too. Remove the axle. Okay, and now it should be enough that we can pull the rest out by hand. And so as we do this, I'm going to hold on to the tire. Okay, and the axle comes right out with the spacer. Okay, we're going to set the chain to the side. Okay, and then we're just going to roll the tire out. Taking care to watch out for the bracket here. And there we go. Okay, and that's one tire pretty much completely done. One more thing we need to do is remove these spacers, because when you bring in your tires to get professionally mounted and balanced, they want you to remove those so that they don't end up losing them. So we're going to remember that the shorter one goes on the sprocket side and the longer one goes on the rotor side over here. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is remove this rear sprocket, because a lot of shops are requiring that you do that because this can mess up their machines and it just gets in the way. Now Honda makes this super easy, and so all you have to do is just give this a little bit of a pull and the whole sprocket just comes out like that. So if you need to replace the sprocket, obviously you're going to use these nuts, but this whole assembly comes out, which is amazing, way easier than trying to remove all these bolts and having to reassemble and all that. So this is done now. You should also remove these little rubber pieces as well. And so pay attention to which way they go. These all need to come out so they don't get lost during mounting and balancing. Okay, now moving on to the front. Again, first step is going to be cracking this socket here. So it's a 19 mil, so I'm going to use breaker bar to just crack it here. Okay, and for the front, we actually need to remove this fork clamp bolt here. So we'll loosen that off. We don't technically need to remove it completely, but we're going to loosen it. Okay, and then we're going to use our dead blow again. Okay, and we're going to prop up the front end just like before. Going to fully remove the axle. And hold on to the tire as you do this. Okay, and then the tire is just going to be dropped down. And we're just going to roll it right out just like before. Okay, and just like the rear, we're going to remove these spacers. Okay, and they're both the same. Okay, and before I close out the first part of this video, I just want to show you how I lay out my parts. So I like to get some shop towels or paper towel or something just to lay out. That way the parts don't get any grease on the table, ground, whatever, and it just keeps the parts from getting damaged as well. So, but yeah, I got the sprocket assembly here, and then all these rubber dampers here as well, and then obviously all my tools. And then, like I said, I like to lay out shop towels in the ground. So obviously I have the parts separated out, got the rear here, front over here, and then down here I had just taken off that sprocket cover just to clean. That wasn't part of this video. And got the two tires over here all ready to go. And so I'm gonna be taking these into the shop, get mounted and balanced, and then we'll pick up in part 2 of how to reinstall your tires. Okay, and that concludes part 1 of this video. Please stay tuned for part 2, which is the reinstallation of the tires of the Honda CB300F. Thanks for watching.